Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Profit. I am Victor Durganov, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite companies, AMD. Advanced Micro Devices, a captivating company, a very interesting, exciting stock story. But recently this stock has been brutalized over the last year or so. So it's dropped from a high of around $227 in early 2024 to just around $107 recently. So I guess the crucial question is, why has AMD declined by so much? Is the decline just justified? Does it deserve to be around $100, or is the market too negative on AMD and has it basically pressed the stock down too much, making AMD a strong buy right now? Why was the stock so high in the first place around a year ago? And the answer to that question is it was the AI optimism. And evidently, expectations got well ahead of AMD's stock price. So we're talking about a massive 53% decline. It's an essential bear market in AMD stock. So now the $1 million question again is: has the decline of this magnitude has it been justified? And will the stock likely stay around here, or has the market overreacted, turning AMD into a strong buy around these ultra low levels? So now, from a technical standpoint perspective, AMD may have bottomed around the critical 110 to $100 support level. Now, we witnessed a bullish reversal on massive volume here, looking at the chart here, several sessions ago after AMD crashed post its recent earnings announcement. So it went below 107, it opened around the low of the sessions, and then it had that bullish reversal where it closed around the highs of the session. Now, AMD is also dramatically below its 200-day moving average, about 33% below it, which further illustrates its oversold nature, and other technical indicators are also implying that AMD is very much oversold at this stage. So a crucial question is why AMD dropped so much in the first place. Now, and I think to answer this question, we have to look back on the rally that AMD had before it crashed. So first of all, the stock became highly overbought technically as it surged by nearly 150% in just around a 4-month time frame. Now, secondly, the stock became significantly overvalued from a fundamental perspective as it spiked to a valuation of about 45 on a forward price to earnings basis. So the stock hit a high of around $225, 27, and the EPS estimate was around $5 then for 2025. So that puts us in that 45 times forward PE range, which is pretty high for a company in AMD's position. Now, thirdly, the wave of AI optimism was simply just too big for AMD to sustain at the time. So we've seen AMD's AI GPU sales expectations reduced for 2025. So basically, I think the market just became a little bit too optimistic looking at NVIDIA and other companies. It became a little bit too optimistic about AMD's prospects in the AI GPU space. Meanwhile, AMD has become very, very cheap. Now, the market has become so pessimistic toward AMD that the stock it's basically become a bargain here. AMD has a forward P ratio. It had a forward P ratio of about 40 to 50 around this time last year. Now, AMD's consensus 2026 EPS estimate is around 634, and that could be a lowballed estimate. So this puts its forward P ratio at only about 18. Now, we should also note that while the lower end EPS estimate is around 5, the higher end estimate range is around 9, which suggests that AMD could earn considerably more than 634 next year. So, in a slightly more bullish scenario, I believe AMD can earn 7 or even 750 next year, which actually puts its forward P ratio at around the 16 or even around 15 times forward earnings, which is dirt cheap for AMD if it can actually achieve those 750 estimates that I have. Now, in my view, AMD's situation may not be as dire as its recent price action implies. Instead, AMD is going through a challenging transitory stage and is not hitting its AI GPU sales targets because of its software related challenges and other issues that, it's basically the AI GPU segment, it's still dominated by NVIDIA. NVIDIA still controls 90 to 95% of the segment. AMD's slice is fewer than 5%. However, that doesn't mean that AMD can't improve. So the gap between AMD and NVIDIA, it could have been narrower by now, with AMD having more market share in this lucrative space. Unfortunately, AMD continues trailing Nvidia in some areas. However, this dynamic does not mean that AMD's position won't improve, or that Nvidia is destined to just continuously dominate the AI GPU space. Now, I think that the market may be making some premature conclusions about AMD here, and it really shouldn't count AMD out of the AI GPU race. Because if we look at AMD's data center earnings and revenues, its data center revenue surged by 69% last quarter, year over year. So while the reaction to AMD's recent earnings was mixed, AMD delivered very solid results. So AMD's data center grew substantially, accounting for 50% of 2024 total sales. Um, Again, data center sales increased by 69% year over year in Q4, reaching 3.9 billion. Now, the MI350 series production, which is AMD's upcoming GPU, will be pulled forward to mid 2025 due to strong customer demand, which is what the CEO told us on the earnings call. Now, this dynamic suggests that while H1 may remain lackluster, AMD may achieve substantially higher than expected sales in H2 of 2025. Now, since the market is a forward-looking mechanism, we should be purchasing the stock now, in my view, as the outlook could brighten for the second half sooner than expected. And by this time, the stock could be 20, 30%, or even higher than that. So we could see appreciation in AMD stock quickly in a bullish case scenario. AMD also reported inline EPS of $1.09 and sales of 7.7 billion, 24% year over year increase, and also a 170 million beat. So we saw solid results. And AMD also provided good solid guidance for Q1 of 7.1 billion instead of the 6.99 billion consensus estimate, which would equate to a 30% year over year sales growth rate. Now, also, AMD is projecting 54% gross margins for next year, which is very high. AMD is taking measures to improve its software to better compete with NVIDIA and to carve out a more significant piece of the lucrative data center market. Now, while more recent downbeat estimates imply AMD may achieve about 7 to 8 billion in AI data center GPU sales in 2025, its total, now this is an important distinction, its total data center sales may reach around 15 to 16 billion. So if we look at last year, AMD's data center GPU sales were about 5 billion, but its total data center sales were 12.6 billion. And now this dynamic gets underreported, but we shouldn't just focus on AMD's GPU sales. Now, AMD's data center segment sales surged by 94% year over year in 2024. While AMD's GPU sales were 5 billion, a lot of the sales were represented by CPU processors for the data center space, as AMD continues taking market share from Intel in this segment. AMD could also benefit from the DeepSeek phenomenon as enterprises seek cheaper options to NVIDIA or incorporate more CPUs instead of GPUs into their AI strategies. Therefore, given AMD's CPU and GPU data center sales potential, we could see AMD reporting 15 to 16 billion or more for the data center segment in 2025. So we could see AMD sales jump to around 33 billion this year, and potentially go as high as 40 to 42 billion next year. My estimate is for 41.5 billion next year. So in my estimate table here, we see that basically AMD could deliver 33 billion revenues this year, about 41.5 billion next year, and close to or around 50 billion in 2027. And this would really only require 27% growth this year, then 25% growth next year, and then a drop off to about 20% sales growth in 2027. Now, this kind of growth should generate healthy earnings per share growth. So we could see around 550 in EPS this year, roughly 750 next year, and close or around $10 in 2027. Now, we should also probably, address AMD's probably unsustainably low 15 forward P ratio, which should probably be in the 20 to 30 range. So I'm projecting about an increase, a multiple expansion increase to 25 to 27 on a forward P basis in future years. So this could enable AMD stock to move into my $180 to $200 range in the next 12 months, and AMD could appreciate to around 250 to 300 or maybe even 350 by 2026, 2027 timeframe, and potentially move up to around $500 or more by 2030. So that's what I'm looking ahead for in AMD, and that's my report on AMD. While there may be some more transitory volatility ahead, I expect another solid year, or a solid year, I should say, in 2025 because 2024 was a down year. And my 12-month price target is 180 to 200 with a longer term price target of 500 by 2030 or sooner. So I want to thank you all for watching my report about AMD. If you enjoyed my video, please click that like, share, and subscribe button to watch more of my videos. And you can also follow me, Victor Durganov, the Financial Prophet, at seekingalpha.com. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.